A world of shadow stood around me. Screams. All the screaming just wouldn't stop. My ears wanted to burst, my veins were popping, and my skin was searing. Let up, I heard from my right. If you get too tense, nothing good will come your way. Take a breath, said a voice on my left. You need to relax. You need to breathe. My heart was pounding its way out of my chest. I did my best to do what I'd been told, but I just couldn't. As if that all wasn't bad enough, next thing I knew, someone was shaking me from behind like they wanted to kill me. Lathine, c'est I cried, trying and failing to break away. Said person threw an arm around me and brought their face alongside mine. Teophone? You look pathetic right now, Teo said. Come on! He slapped me over the head, and if I'd had a clue what was going on, or any level of control over my body, I would have tried to kill him. Get your act together, he roared. It looked like Teo knew what he was doing after all, because the malice upon me began to fade. I was able to start breathing. My distorted vision came into focus, revealing thousands upon tens of thousands of people. That's right. I was at one of the storied Sohalian yearlies. Yes, I was waiting for finals to begin. My eyes went to the fighting grounds, just in time to see a winner crowned from the match I was waiting on. Once more, cheers rained from the tens of thousands in attendance. My vision started to spin out again, and I would have lost myself for good if the person on my right hadn't set a hand on my shoulder. You'll be fine, said a man named Ninero as he held me steady. Just keep breathing, all right? You'll be fine. His eyes were angelic, and reminded me of why I saw him as an older brother. I'm grateful for you all, I said, my voice faint. Even Teo. Before Ninero could reply, Teophon jumped me from behind and gave me another seizure. I'll kill you for that later, he cried. Just know that your enemy likes to be the aggressor. You got it? The last thing he'd expect is for you to do the honors. After that, the head judge of the tournament turned to the crowds, making them fall dead silent. At long last, he cried with a voice like thunder. Let finals begin. Here stands Kilmarin, and now I call for his opponent, the mystery man, Kainiro. The crowds went crazy yet again. Who was at my shoulder this time? I turned to the person at my left, to Master Gyogon, who was the leader of our company. Remember your training, he said. It can save you out there. Trust in it. Thank you, Master, I panted out, my voice sounding half-decent. I'm eternally in your debt. Don't thank me. So he tried to say, before Teo mailed in a death wish by cutting him off. Thank us all by going out there, Teo yelled, and winning this thing. Our entire group erupted into ear-shattering cheers. My blood had been stagnant, as if I were dying. But now, thanks to them all, my blood was surging. I yanked myself to my feet and went darting onto the field. When I got to the right sparring circle, Kedmarin didn't say a word. Sweat was beaming down his face. He looked terrible, and I bet I looked even worse. Best of luck, Kedmarin said to me through all the sweat, and I only had the strength to nod at him. At last, our judge walked to the edge of our sparring circle. "By Lathine, commence!" he beckoned. Kedmarine's eyes lit up at my charge. His feet stuttered. Teofun had been right. Wooden Blades whirled, my instincts kicked in, and, after backing him all the way to the circle's edge, I spotted a flaw in his form. I took advantage by pulling us into a deadlock, and then shoving him from the circle. Our judge went charging forward. "Lead!" he cried. "1 game to none, Kainiro!" I rounded back up to my starting position, and did I ever try to cancel out the screams of the crowds? It was getting to me. The volume. I'd never heard anything like it. Just 2 more wins, and then I'd be done with this all. Thank God. By Lathine, commence! Kedmarine froze. He looked like he just wanted to gauge what I would do. So, in turn, I dashed forward to start the match on my terms. Blade spun and twirled. Kedmarine's face lit with fire. How quick he was to turn the page testified to the level of experience he had. Adrenaline went full force inside my own head, to the extent that this match ended up as a blur in my memory. Even in the moment, I think I'd had little clue what was going on, if you can believe it. Somehow, some way, I ended up slipping in another hit, and all I could really remember was yelling in triumph. "Kainiro," cried the judge, "stands 1 win away from the great stage of Muin Floor." Kedmarine got back to his starting position quickly, but as for me, I did so slowly. I bought myself a second to breathe. "Ivach kuru nenoch," I heard Teo scream out at me. That made me chuckle, and did ease my spirit. We weren't supposed to speak in that language, though. It might give us away. Master Gyogon would chastise Teo later for using it. "Theo fell!" Teo kept on screaming, and I saw Gyogon motioning to a man named Alvim to escort Teo out. "Neom legel visu asa koni! Eo asa kojama! Uleo neno!" I could have never asked for a better friend than Teo. He was going to get hell for this, and I ended up shaking my head. Teo had been right. I just needed to trust in my light and let it shine. "By Lathine, commence!" cried the judge. Screams. There were so many screams. This was an omen of all that would come. My heart kept pounding, my body went even more insane with adrenaline, and sweat kept beaming off me from head to toe. I will admit, Kedmarine simply got the best of me this time. He was an incredible swordsman. 2 game to 1. Lead. Kainiro, cried the judge. A creeping sickness continued to work its way into my soul. What would I do with myself if I blew this lead? My ears turned to the cheers of my allies. I'd needed their pick-me-up. And again, they didn't let me down. "By Lathine, commence!" You could tell Kedmarine was getting into a rhythm by the way he charged at me. I danced around like a jester and stayed on the defensive. About a minute went by before I saw what I needed. Kedmarine had a 2-hit sequence he kept throwing at my center, and every time after, he'd sweep at my knees. I deflected the first 2 hits, was in a perfect position to punish the next. But then he broke all convention and went for something new. My stance was strong, so I managed to slap his hit away anyways. but then I took a stupid, impulsive gamble. I lunged forward for a stab. Fate repeated itself. This time, my hit got slapped away. I saw his left arm swing around. There would have been no way for me to block his next blow, but then fate intervened one last time. A cloud of dust went flying as Kermarin's left foot went sliding. He skidded, crashed to a knee, and ended up throwing a delayed strike that I could still, only just barely, deflect. One more time, I put my cards on a finishing blow. "Victory!" cried the judge as my blade crashed into Kermarin. "Victory to Kainero, champion of the yearly, 3-1. Again, everything, including the heavens, was shattered by screams, and in the blink of an eye, the competitive high I'd been on ran out. I should have been happy. Now, I could go to main floor. This was something I'd always dreamed of. Yes. I should have been happy, but I wasn't. What was wrong with me? It stunned me how I'd cowered in the moment and gambled on hits that I'd had no place gambling on. With everything on the line, victory achieved or not, I hadn't played the game like who I truly was. I'd lost myself in my endeavor. My mind was too childlike to endure this all, too innocent. This was one of the last days of my life where that could truly be said.